crowd's going nuts. Basketball games can change in an instant. So can your plans. That's why at United, there are no change fees on flights. Because while we love a change of plans in the Warriors' favor, we don't think anyone should get charged fees for changing theirs. No change fees, ever. United, the official airline of the Golden State Warriors. Does not include basic economy unless a United waiver applies. Exceptions apply for certain international flights.
Hey, Stephen Curry, it's game day, and you know what that means.
That you're going to talk like an announcer all day long?
Yes, and fans get 10% cash back in arena or online at Warriors Shop by using Rakuten.
That is pretty exciting.
Cash back on Warriors gear is exciting, Stephen Curry.
I think they know it's me.
Good point. We just need to tell them the website.
Rakuten.com/Warriors. RAKUTEN.com/Warriors.
The reigning 2022 champions are back in action, and NBC Sports Bay Area has you covered every step of the season. Catch Warriors pre- and post-game live an hour before and following each game, hosted by Bonte Hill with analysts and former Warriors Chris Mullin and Festus Ezeli. And get your Warriors news all week long on the Dubs Talk podcast with Kerr and Monty Poole, featuring special guests and in-depth analysis. Authentic moments live here, only on NBC Sports Bay Area.
You've been listening to the Golden State Warriors Audio Network.
Presented by United Airlines.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey Sports. For even more coverage of your team, download the free Odyssey app and listen to your favorite stations, shows, and podcasts.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app.
That's a wrap.
Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope they got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Adebayo on the cut to Martin, stolen by Curry. On the turnover, Curry has Thompson on his right. No look, flip to Klay. He'll fire away. Got another one. Back-to-back triples for Klay Thompson. And the lead, in a blink of an eye, goes to 7 points.
And a couple of big threes for Klay Thompson after he hit his first 2 shots of the night. Klay then missed 7 consecutive shots, but was able to knock down a couple more threes down the stretch in this one, and some timely ones as the Warriors pull away. Fourth quarter, they beat the Heat 123-110. So the Dubs now 3-2 on the season as Miami winds up losing. They are now 2-4. 888-957-9570. John Dickinson inside Chase Center, where the Warriors get the victory. Let's react to this one, and right off the top, 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here, again, live from Chase Center for the next hour here as the Warriors improve to 3-2 on the young season. Thought right off the top, much better defensive effort for the Warriors. There's been all the conversation about transition defense and just any modicum of defense in these first 4 games for the Warriors. And really, other than the Laker game, which was solid in stretches against a team that really struggles to score, I mean, the Warriors let, for the most part, Denver and Sacramento and the Suns do whatever they wanted offensively, and tonight that just wasn't the case. Much more competitive defensive effort from the Warriors. Now, it was 31-30 Golden State at the end of the first quarter, and the Warriors, while they did give up 59 points in the first half, it wasn't 70 for the first time in 4 games after giving up 70 in each of the last 3 in the first half. And Steve Kerr mentioned this in his post-game press conference, and we'll play his full post-game press conference between now and 11 o'clock. But I thought a key point that Steve brought up was the fact that the game was more interconnected, that the offense, the defense leading to offense, and just a better overall flow and pace to the game. Not a spectacular defensive effort by any stretch, but in the fourth quarter, you allow 23 points to a Heat team maybe feeling the effects of the second of a back-to-back, and it just was an improvement in what needed to be improved upon for the Warriors over these first 4 games. So good sign there. Steph Curry continues to just be tremendous to start the season. Another 30-plus point performance for Steph Curry, as that makes, 4 of 5 for Steph along those lines in the first week plus of the season. 33 more tonight, and he took the game over in the fourth quarter. 10 of the 33 in the fourth quarter. He had 21 in the second half, and he was just controlling the game. 7 of 14 from 3, put Tyler Hero on skates at one point. He's driving to the basket, and 9 assists as well to go with the 7 boards. He is just in complete control as a point guard, getting his when it's there for him to get, but getting it on the perimeter, getting it on the interior, and making plays for others as well. And just a control and a command of the game for Steph Curry tonight. I thought impressive. He knew when he needed to take it over. The defense, if they're going to overplay him on the outside, he's so much more comfortable, and we saw this even last year now that he's a little bit stronger, just attacking and getting to the basket. And if the defense wants to overplay outside because they're trying to take the threes away, that's fine. He'll get into the paint and be able to finish. And tonight he was able to do that. You look at Steph, 7 of 14 from 3, as I mentioned, but that made him 6 of 8 from 2, and just an incredibly efficient performance from Steph Curry, an MVP-like performance and an MVP-like first, 9 days of the regular season to this point. So Warriors with I think a much-needed win. You look at this first block of games, 5 games, 4 of the 5 at home. I think you'd probably want 4-1 if you're a Warriors fan, but you take 3-2 considering the circumstances, and you beat a good Heat team, second of a back-to-back. You lose the games to the Nuggets, and you lose also to the Suns in what was the first road game of the season. No shame in that. I think we all can point to areas where the Warriors need to play better basketball along those lines, and then the Warriors handling in the other 2 games a couple of teams in Sacramento and the Lakers that don't have a win yet. Both of those teams now, Sacramento got beat tonight by Memphis in Sacramento, so they're 0-4, and the Lakers, as everybody knows, they're 0-4 as well. So handle the business for the Warriors over this stretch, and now they'll hit the road for the next 5, beginning on Charlotte on Saturday night, then stops in Detroit, Miami, Orlando, and New Orleans before the Warriors are right back home in 10 days, and it'll be another matchup against those Sacramento Kings. So 888-957-9570, that is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here. Warriors wrap up on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson inside Chase Center as we react to the Warriors' 123-110 win over the Miami Heat. Warriors came out hitting early in this one. Mentioned Klay Thompson with the first 5 points. The turnovers, a problem for Golden State tonight, as they wound up in this game with 21 turnovers, and the breakdown of the turnovers was a rough one. You look first quarter for the Warriors, they had 6 turnovers in the first quarter, and it really was a big part of the reason why that game was as close as it was, 31-30 at the end of the quarter. Then only 1 turnover in the second quarter. Warriors are able to push the lead out a little bit. Better bench minutes in the second quarter than we'd seen in a couple of games for the Warriors. Even better bench minutes in the fourth quarter, that stretch that bridged the third and fourth quarter as well for the Warriors. Probably JaMychal Green's best game for Golden State to this point. I think you got to give a hat tip to JaMychal Green, but Wiseman also in this one, 10 points, finishing around the basket, just looking more and more comfortable. But yeah, the turnovers looked like they were going to be problematic with the 6 in the first quarter, then 1 in quarter number 2. You fast forward to quarter number 3, the Warriors ended up with 8 turnovers in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, they had 4, but I thought a big key to offsetting some of the turnovers tonight. Yeah, you make 18 three-pointers, that'll offset some of that, but the offensive rebounds, I felt tonight, offset the turnover issue as the Warriors ended up in this ball game with 16 offensive rebounds, and it was a collective. JaMychal Green, he had 4. Wiggins had 3. He's been attacking the glass. Wiseman with 3 offensive rebounds in the game. Moses Moody had an offensive rebound in this one. Draymond and Kevon Looney. So I think the extra possessions there offset some of the issues that the Warriors were having with the turnovers. But, yeah, Warriors pushed it up and looked like they were going to have a shot at maybe turning this thing into a blowout. Curry came back in the second quarter with 8:30 to go. It was the Warriors down by 1 at that point, and then they outscored Miami 25-11, and it looked like the Warriors were going to have a shot to be ahead by double digits. Mentioned the defense playing a lot better, but then it wound up only being a +5 from that moment where Curry came back because the Heat went on a 9-0 run to finish the half. So 63-50 became 63-59 going into the break, and then in the third quarter it was back and forth essentially throughout the entirety of that quarter, with the Warriors up by a 92-87 count going to the fourth, and then a whole lot of Steph Curry down the stretch. But you mentioned that bench group in the second half playing much better than they did even in the first half. Nice JaMychal Green minutes. It was the block to end the quarter at 92-87. And, yeah, James Wiseman, mentioned him. He looked a lot more comfortable offensively. A couple of great passes for dunks to James Wiseman, including one. JaMychal Green, high-low from big fella to big fella, and then Stephen Curry, a pick and roll where Curry able to hit him for a lob and a dunk. So Wiseman getting more comfortable, at least on the offensive end. All right, 888-957-9570. Phone lines open. Let's start it with Ricky tonight on 95.7 The Game on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on, Ricky?
Numero uno. Thank you, John. Appreciate that, my man. Listen, I apologize. I didn't get to watch the first quarter and a little bit of the second quarter because I was watching the football game. But what I did see in the second half was, Klay Thompson. Obviously, he was running. He got his run. He was up to the third quarter all the way up to 3 minutes instead of getting out of 6 minutes. That's usually what Steve Kerr's been taking him out on the 6 minute mark. But, tonight I just looked at it. He played 29 minutes. Love that. He built a rhythm. He looked pretty good. He was a little off in the 3-pointers, but he made big shots. The other thing is I wanted to talk to you about the other night is Andrew Wiggins. We know that the Warriors have been giving up 70 points first half for the first couple of games, right? Do you really think Andrew Wiggins' defense has been all there this season so far? Because, all I heard was Booker was cooking Klay. Booker was cooking Klay. That's why Klay reacted that way. And I'm like, did he really? Because the game that I was watching, Andrew Wiggins was covering Booker about 80% of the time. And, Klay had his moments with Booker. But if anybody was getting cooked, it was Andrew Wiggins. And, I just want to put that out there. I mean, I know what I watch. I know what I'm seeing. And I just want people to slow down when they said Booker was cooking Klay, because I don't think he really was. I think he was cooking Wiggins. I just want to get your point on that, man. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. He was cooking Klay. He was cooking everybody. And look, the overall, if you look at some of the lineup-specific analytics going into this game, the starters had played significantly better defense than the bench. Really, the bench guys had been where a lot of the problems had been in terms of the defense. Wiseman, Kuminga, when he was out there, had been just dreadful. Jordan Poole had been miserable defensively. But I think, and I've said this the first 4 games, I'll say it again tonight, I think that the defensive issues have largely been, it's early, this is a defending champion, it's not go time yet. It's also been, I think, trying to get a new group of players, the players that weren't here last year or weren't playing a lot last year. So you can factor, players that weren't playing a lot last year can be Wiseman, can be Moody, can be Kuminga. Players that weren't here last year can be DiVincenzo, and also you can add JaMychal Green into that mix. So there are a lot of different. I think if you weren't here last year, or you're somebody that wasn't playing a lot last year, you can look at it as you're kind of in the same boat. So I think a lot of it is getting the new guys and the guys that weren't playing a lot together on the same page and up to date with the system and just where they're supposed to be and what the Warriors are trying to do as far as their defensive game plan goes. So I think it's been that mostly. But look, Klay Thompson is not the defender that he used to be. He is not the guy that's going to pick up a point guard or a lead guard that can shoot it like a Devin Booker at the level that he has in years past. Like, he's just not that guy. In fact, he's probably more of a wing or even at times a big defender, stretch big kind of a defender of players that maybe aren't necessarily as quick and the lateral movement doesn't totally come into play. I don't think, though, Booker specifically, as far as how well he was playing in the game, was why Klay and Booker ended up getting into it a couple of nights ago, though. I think it was more just the frustration of Klay's offensive game and the minutes restriction and not feeling like he's in a rhythm and just having things compound by the fact that there's been a lot of smack talk. And I think Klay Thompson also looked at Booker like, hey, who the heck are you, man? Like, who the heck are you to be running any kind of smack to me, as he said when he was running off the court after getting thrown out. Hey, I've got 4 rings. You shouldn't be talking any mess to me. So I think part of that, too, is just a little bit of a pride of, hey, I'm a champion. Who are you, young fella, like to be running it at the level that you're running it? That's fine, all fair game, but I don't think it was necessarily Booker was cooking him specifically, although Booker was cooking everybody and the Suns were cooking the Warriors at an extremely high level in that game. But better tonight, and it adds up to a Warriors victory over the Miami Heat. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it moving on the phone lines. Coach in Los Altos next here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Coach.
Hey, how's it going, JD? Great
What's going on, man?
And man, well, your analysis nailed it. But I was there, just got back from the game tonight, and I just saw, 3 things. What I'd like to comment on relative to the other games, the Laker game and the Sacramento game. Number one, Draymond's playing for a contract. That guy is flying around. He's great on defense. Like the play he made where he dove, threw it to Klay, who threw it to Steph for the 3. That was all just heart and hustle. And I'm just loving watching this Draymond. I know it'll probably be for somebody else, but this reminds me of the old Draymond. Number 2, it was like a playoff atmosphere in there. Like people were getting into it. Like the Heat, I don't know, top 5 team in the NBA. They're certainly top handful. And Jimmy Butler's, he's just all world. Bam Adebayo. And I'm thinking, Wiseman's playing him. And Wiseman's got 42, 43 games under his belt. And, Bam's just so good. So it was a legit, felt like a playoff, felt like they really cared, and it showed. And then third, Poole is a bucket. Everybody knows he's a bucket, like some of those moves he does. But what I watched tonight was he's maturing as a player. Like I just see him as passing. He's directing that second team when he's in there. He's cutting. I saw him talking on defense. Like, I just think he's going to mature into just a really nice player. And, tonight was just an all-around enjoyable basketball game, and it was just great to be there.
Thanks for the call, Coach. 888-957-9570. Yeah, Draymond is absolutely playing for a contract. He has been tremendous through these first 5 games of the season. And how about Draymond? The defense is going to be there if he's healthy. But how about Draymond? How about Draymond looking to attack offensively a little bit more? Look at Draymond, faking the handoff back to a guard and looking to attack for a dunk, looking to take advantage of some of the open lanes that teams are giving him in the context of the defense. So, I think you look at what Draymond's been able to do offensively, a much more aggressive Draymond Green to this point in the early going of the season. And he right now had 8 points in the first half, finished with 10. He has been really, really uber aggressive. 14 a couple of nights ago. He had 13 going back to last week as well. So he's really been looking to score the basketball, and that makes the Warriors even more dynamic because that the defense is going to be there as long as he's healthy. And then as far as the Jordan Poole point, he's trying to figure out in some ways a different role because the one thing you forget is he started at the beginning of the playoffs last year. Like, he was in the starting lineup at the beginning of the playoffs last year. He was in the starting lineup at the beginning of the regular season last year because Klay Thompson was out due to injury. So he never really had the full, long run of being a sixth man. And now they've changed up the backup unit for the Warriors where it's a lot younger, and so it really is almost a completely different job in a lot of ways for Jordan Poole. And he's got the big contract, which kicks in a year from now, that he's got to live up to. So I do think there's room for a little bit of, hey, let's pause. Let's give Jordan Poole a little bit of a breather, and let's allow him to grow into this role and this season and this team at a little bit of a different pace. And, oh, by the way, there was a relatively significant incident that happened a couple of weeks before the season started. Of course, the incident with him and Draymond Green and Draymond punching him, which I think has, to this point, I know there's been discussion about it being icy and Draymond's been isolated and all of that from the rest of the team. I think while that I don't dispute at this point, I do think both Draymond and Poole and the rest of the team are trying to do everything they can to the best of their ability to try and push this thing through and move it forward to a point where everybody can coexist, and at least this team has the best chance to try and be successful moving forward. But as far as the on the play goes with Poole, I think giving him an opportunity to grow into a role that he really didn't have last year because he wound up starting so much. I think, and every year being different is also a part of that. So I think him having a couple of poorer games, the first couple, and then slowly starting to come out of it, I think is still a good sign. And the bench group tonight as a whole, I thought played better than they had in any of these last 3 or 4 games. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling with Kelly on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Kelly.
Hey. I'm just coming from the game tonight, and I will say Klay was better, and they were trying to give him lots of shots, but I'm worried about him. He's just not what he was 2 years ago. And I feel like these games, they're trying to give him lots of opportunities, but he's not there yet.
He's not. He is not there yet, and he was hunting shots, and thanks, Kelly. I think it's fair to be concerned, but I mentioned this the other night. I think the one thing that Warrior fans may have to get a grip on is that he may not be what he was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Like, he can still be a productive player. He can still be a really good player, but this thought that it's going to come all the way back as consistently as it was before, I almost feel like that's too much of an ask. That and I think Klay wants that, and you can tell. And look, Klay was hunting tonight, and he got a layup early, hit a 3 early, then he missed 7 straight at that point. So he was 2 for 9 at one point after he was 2 for 2, and then he wound up finishing the game 6 of 19. So he was 2 for 9. So he wound up 4 for 10 to close it out, but he was 1 of 8 for 3, so he wound up 4 for his last 6 from 3-point range. So he did finish strong, but yeah, it was looking like another one of those games that resembled the game that he had in Phoenix the other night. I think the closer he can get to full strength as far as the minutes, the more comfortable he'll get, the more he'll relax, but it definitely had the vibe of, oh yeah, Klay Thompson's really pressing. Klay Thompson's really hunting those shots early, and he did not play well offensively in the first half. But again, those shots are going to fall eventually, at least you believe they will. And when they did, we played a couple of them right off the top of the show. It went from a 1-point game to a 7-point game, gave the Warriors some breathing room and put them right there in a position where they had seized control of the game. 888-957-9570. The 510 on the Xfinity Mobile text line chiming in on Klay. Klay's numbers still low percentages, but he should get more time before coming to any conclusions. We're only 5 games into the season. Yeah, I think he's going to play better than he has played to this point. I don't think there's any question about that. I think, though, the consistency of what Klay is going to be moving forward based on what he was before the 2 injuries, which again is now 3.5 years almost on a calendar. That to me might be too much to ask or expect at this point. And I know, Clay, that's part of the frustration is Clay's expecting that of himself, and he wants to get back to that, and he can taste it. And I think we talked about it the other night. That's some of the frustration is why maybe he's mixing it up with Booker to the extent that he did. But yeah, I mean, 1 assist in 29 minutes, as the 415 points out on the text line. He's not passing the rock. No, he's not passing the rock at all. In fact, it's if he's open, it's going up. And he looks like the Klay Thompson, for the most part, in terms of the shot selection, that he was when the season started last year for him back in January, and he was getting inconsistent minutes, and he was taking back-to-backs off, and he was trying to find it. And he was really just trying to take every shot, almost trying to will himself into a rhythm that was going to, get him going. And I feel like he's in that same kind of rhythm at this point where he's just forcing the action a little bit. Did seem like he relaxed a little bit as the game went on, but he also made more shots as the game went on, which I think was a part of that equation. 888-957-9570. We'll hear from Steve Kerr coming up here on Warriors Wrap-Up. We'll also hope to hear from Draymond Green between now and 11 o'clock as the Warriors beat the Heat tonight, 123-110. So the Dubs improved to 3-2, 3-1 in their first 4 games here at Chase Center as the Warriors are going to hit the road beginning on Saturday in Charlotte, back-to-back at Detroit. Then they take on the Heat again for the second time in 5 days, and that'll be the end of the season series between these two on November the 1st. A little quirk in the schedule there. And then at Orlando and at New Orleans. So 5 games in 7 nights beginning on Saturday. The Warriors' next home game, November the 7th against Sacramento here on 95.7 The Game, as you can catch every Warriors game on 95.7 The Game. A couple of other ones here on the text line. Looking at a lot of questions about Jonathan Kuminga tonight. A DNP coach's decision along with Patrick Baldwin and Ryan Rollins. And Steve Kerr played 10 tonight, had 13 active. Baldwin and Rollins were recalled from Santa Cruz to join the team and were active and in uniform and on the bench tonight. But seen a lot of this. Ty Jerome getting minutes ahead of Kuminga, and the 925 asking the question. He's been getting minutes against Kuminga. It's not Jerome or Kuminga. Jerome is a ball handler. Jerome is a point guard. And a lot like last year when the Warriors would have an injury in the backcourt, they had Chris Chiozza as a two-way player who was a ball handler, and people went nuts because nobody, the fan base wasn't feeling Chiozza and the minutes that he would get. Steve Kerr wanted to have somebody that could handle the rock as more of a true point guard that could be in the game either with Jordan Poole or to take some of the ball handling pressure off of others in the offense. And that's why Ty Jerome was signed. That's why Ty Jerome made the team as one of the two-way guys, because he is more of a true backup point guard. And look, he doesn't blow you away tonight. He did hit a big 3 in a big moment, but Ty Jerome's just a different position than Jonathan Kuminga. Jerome's a backup point type, and Kuminga's a 3-4 or a 4-5, at some point, maybe in the future. So it's a little bit apples to oranges when you're comparing the two. And so, yeah, while Kuminga's a flashier player and a more dynamic player, Ty Jerome is playing a position of need. Think of Jerome as the Dante DiVincenzo replacement. It's a guard for a guard, and Jerome almost as kind of a poor man's DiVincenzo. Can handle a little bit, can play both spots, can maybe knock down a 3 as he did tonight. And we're only talking about 7 minutes. I mean, Ty Jerome only played 7 minutes. He was a +2. He didn't do anything tonight that killed the Warriors by any stretch of the imagination. All right, one more before we pause here. 888-957-9570. Let's get Kenny on the phone lines here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Kenny?
Hey.
What's up, man?
Hello?
Yeah, Kenny, we got you, man. What's you're on the air? And Kenny is gone. Kenny is gone. All right, 888-957-9570. Kenny, if you get a better connection, give us a call back. We'll get you right in the front of the line before we hear from Steve Kerr here in the next segment. We'll pause. We'll get to Kenny. We'll get to Jonathan. But we'll pause here first. Hold on. We'll get to you guys straight out of the chute. 888-957-9570 as Warriors wrap-up rolls on. Dubs beat the Heat 123-110 on 95.7 The Game.
Locked On Warriors is a daily podcast covering your favorite team, the defending world champion Golden State Warriors. I'm your host, Cyrus Softas, and every Monday through Friday, Locked On Warriors brings you all of the biggest Warriors stories in around 30 minutes. We cover Stephen Curry and the dynasty that is one of the greatest teams in the history of this beautiful game. Listen to the Locked On Warriors podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Fremont Bank. If there's one thing we understand more than anybody, it's that it takes a local bank to really get the needs of local businesses. Fremont Bank has the flexibility and motivation to service your business loan needs like other banks can't or won't. With our full suite of business loan products and recognition as a top SBA lender in the Bay Area, Fremont Bank is the right choice for local and family-owned businesses. Fremont Bank. Learn more at fremontbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you interested in new career opportunities in the Bay Area and want to make a difference in your community? The San Francisco Sheriff's Office is looking for people considering a job in law enforcement right now. If you're at least 20 years or older with a high school diploma or equivalent, the San Francisco Sheriff's Office wants to hear from you. Enjoy full benefits, flexible schedules, and opportunities for growth and promotion. For employment announcements and more information, visit sfsheriff.com. That's sfsheriff.com to apply today.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. As autumn temperatures get cooler, here are some simple things you can do to help out the environment. Remove any window air conditioners. Check windows and door seals for proper insulation to keep heat in and cold air out. And check your furnace, making sure it's clean, and replace the air filter with a new one to keep it running at peak efficiency all winter long. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Dancing crew, trip for two, nail the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kid, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. Boosters designed for COVID-19 variants are now available. If you've had your primary series, schedule an updated COVID-19 booster appointment as soon as you're eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Count on Navien. The Prophetic Matrix. Unlock the secret code to your destiny. A new revolutionary book by Michael John Toste. The first ebook to make history by being filmed in space. Discover your unlimited future. Get the Prophetic Matrix now on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/find. That's ZipRecruiter.com/find.
Are you wasting money on a timeshare you rarely use? Cancel it with Titan Exit Group. Get a free consultation and see how they can stop the never-ending maintenance fees and mortgage payments. In fact, if your timeshare contract is not terminated, you owe nothing, so you have nothing to lose. But those monthly fees. Get legally released from your timeshare, 100% guaranteed. Call now for your free consultation at 800-200-0894. 800-200-0894.
Curry comes up, screens for Wiggins. He gets downhill, toss over to Curry. Design play, corner three, up no good. Rebound, Draymond out to Thompson. Good catch, back to Steph. Fakes and fires, hit another three. Stephen Curry. Got 31 now. 7 of 14 from distance.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, big night for Steph Curry as the Warriors beat Miami 123-110. He finishes with 33 and just playing tremendous basketball here in the early going of the season. Warriors now 3-2. Let's get back to the phones, 888-957-9570 as we continue here until 11 o'clock. We'll hear from Steve Kerr coming up, but let's get it going with Jonathan here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Jonathan, you're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, I want to say congratulations to the Dubs, hard-fought game. I'm a Warriors fan, but I grew up in South Florida, so the Heat are my first NBA love. So I took another one on the chin tonight like I did last year. But I did want to say, because I heard a lot of fans around me commenting that, the game shouldn't be this close. And I've been listening, to a lot of the fans, worrying over these first 4 games, at what's been going on. And, this is the only time that I ever understand how the rest of the NBA feels about the Warriors. So I think I have a unique enough perspective watching this team to know that both teams, for one thing with the Warriors, you have to play a perfect game to beat them or you're not going to beat them. The Heat played an incredible game and fell short because they turned the ball over too many times. They missed free throws. Meanwhile, the Warriors played their maybe it wasn't their A game, but they played a good enough game to win and took advantage of our moves. And when I look at, the Heat, this is the thing that people forget, because they only play 2 times a year. This is what Miami does. This is Heat culture. They grind you out for 48 minutes. They make you work hard. They play old school basketball, and D up. And you're not going to have a lot of blowouts against them. They're going to be these grind out close games, and people often forget that. And then when I hear these Warriors fans saying, oh, we're in trouble, I look at this team. I think they're going to be fine. They look good tonight. It's early in the season, and it's frustrating enough to lose, but to hear Warriors fans complaining, they're the ones who have it easy. I mean, it's just
Thanks for the call. Appreciate the call, Jonathan. Good thoughts, and we gave you your time there. 888-957-9570. Definitely not an A game for the Warriors tonight. And yeah, I do think because this team is so popular and the Warrior fan base is so rabid and energetic and enthused, they want to blow out everybody every night, and they want Steph to have 30 and Klay to have 25 and Draymond to have a triple-double and Wiseman to have 15 and Poole to get 18 and Kuminga to play 25 minutes and score 12 points and all, talking about the 2 timelines and how everything's going to interconnect and then go on to win the championship. And you're right, Miami doesn't always allow for that. They do play a conscientious, more tough-minded game, but if the Warriors are going to play competent defensively as they did tonight and make 18 threes, it almost doesn't matter in a way what they do in other areas. There was a better hustle game, I thought, tonight from the Warriors in terms of purpose. The offensive rebounds exuded that. But the Warriors still turned it over 21 times. But you make 18 threes, you get some offensive rebounds, and you're in good shape there, and you play better defense against an opponent that struggles to score more. I mean, Miami, among the opponents the Warriors have had here in the first 5 games, they aren't the Lakers by any stretch, but they are the second worst offensive team, I would say, top to bottom, once things separate, that the Warriors have faced in these first 5. So you better be playing. Your best 2 defensive games have been against the Lakers and have been against the Heat, also coinciding with the worst 2 offensive teams that you played. But Miami's no L.A., and they are a tough-minded bunch, and they do have a star player in Jimmy Butler and some other battle-tested players and some good young players as well, and they're always a well-coached team. So you add it up, and it's a nice win for the Dubs. Lizzie in Marin next here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Lizzie.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Doing well. How are you?
To chime in. I'm good, thanks. It's my first game of the season, and there's been a lot of chatter about Draymond and the dynamics in the team between him and Poole. And I just have to say, it was really, I know he has a contract at risk, but it was really awesome to see him put the team first. And it was really great to see him give Poole some chances and them to play well together.
Yeah, I look, on the court, I don't think it's been an issue at all, Lizzie. And I know behind the scenes it's been reported that maybe things are still a little bit awkward, but how could it not be a little bit awkward given the circumstances of what happened? I mean, that's something that isn't going to just be normal in a week or 2 or 3. Hell, it may not be normal for a month or 2 or 3. But I think the Warriors are trying to put themselves in position where they could make the focus about basketball. And I got to tell you, I think to this point, so far so good. I'm not saying that there's nothing to continue to monitor or anything like that. And who knows if Draymond has another blow up on, maybe not for those specific reasons, but for another reason that obviously can take a toll and wear on the fabric of the team. But I think to this point through 5 games, it's kind of been a non-issue to the naked eye, at least when they've been on the court. But again, it's really more about how are the interactions and what's the vibe in the facility and on the flights and in the locker room, given what had happened. But the one thing is, look, if this team's going to get to the ultimate goal, they're going to be around each other a lot over the course of the next 8 months on the calendar. And so that's a lot of opportunity and a lot of time for things to be smoothed out. So 888-957-9570. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit of Steve Kerr post-game as he met with the media downstairs in the Bill King interview room as the Warriors get the victory in this one.
Obviously a tight game all the way, but what did you think the key was in the fourth quarter when you guys pumped up the lead there?
Well, I thought it was our best defensive game, which isn't saying much given the other 4, but it just felt like a more typical Warriors performance where we're getting stops consistently and then getting out and running, and the game connected. We always talk about connecting the game at both ends, get good shots. That leads to good transition defense and, get stops and rebounds, and the flow comes easier offensively. So I thought it was other than a few careless turnovers, I thought it was the best we've played at both ends. And of course, Steph was just sublime. I mean, what he's doing is incredible. He just gets by anybody. Doesn't matter who's on him. He gets right into the teeth of the defense, finishes, finds guys. He's been spectacular here to start the year.
Was any part of you wondering like how fresh he would be last year's, long title run, his age, obviously, and just that kind of condensed summer? I mean, were you wondering how fresh he would be entering?
A little bit. I mean, I didn't love playing him 37 minutes, but this game required it. It felt like a game we needed, heading out on the road. And so we ran him a little bit longer tonight than we would have liked. But he keeps himself in such great shape all summer. He works so hard that he never really falls out of shape. So from the first day of camp, he's looked incredibly well conditioned and ready to go. Now the challenge comes for him, just like everybody. The whole 82, the accumulation of games takes its toll eventually. But he's just in amazing shape.
Did you get a sense that Steph was out there trying to get Klay going intentionally early in the game and like especially in that fourth quarter?
Yeah, I thought there was a key transition play. Klay had just made a three. I think it was third quarter. Steph came down in transition. He could have taken the shot on his own. He found Klay for another one. And that was a really important play in the game because, I thought in the first half, Klay was kind of pressing, hanging his head a little bit. And his energy in the second half picked up. And, Steph helped get him going, but Klay got himself going with his defense and his energy. So great performance by him in the second half. And, a lot of guys really played well. I think Draymond has had a really great start to the year. He's playing with so much intensity, pushing the ball. Wiggs has been fantastic, 10 rebounds tonight. I thought the glass was key for us tonight, 50 to I think 31. That's a big edge possession-wise. So that was a big part of the game.
Steve, Jordan said the other night just how much pride he's taking in his passing and being an all-around player. That drive early in the fourth when he goes in and then flips it around to Ty out on the perimeter. I mean, does he continue to show you some of the strides he's making, in different phases? I mean, he's really been passing beautifully.
Yeah, Jordan's been good. He's what we like about him is that he's a shot creator, whether it's for himself or for others. And it's so valuable to have a guy who can break the defense down and create a shot. And I thought that play that you're talking about where he had Ty for the three was a really big bucket for us. I thought Jermichael Green played some huge minutes for us. His offensive rebounds, his toughness, his grit. He's really added a lot to our team. So that second half felt a lot more like us. And so hopefully this is a sign we're coming around.
Steve, kind of following up on CJ's question about Steph looking for Klay. How have you seen him sort of evolve as a leader and sort of knowing when to get his own and knowing when his teammates are getting hot or when his teammates need to be propped up?
Well, he's been doing this for a long time, so I'd be lying if I said, this is something new. Steph's always been a guy who, is very conscientious and wants his teammates to do well. He's always thinking about his teammates, and he and Klay know each other so well. They've been together for a decade, more than a decade. So, Steph knew he had to help Klay get going a little bit, and so that didn't surprise me at all.
You get 14 minutes out of Wiseman. He's +2. I mentioned the big minus that he'd go in this game. How important is it just to get he got buckets, but just to make sure he's not going underwater a little bit when he's out there, just to get those minutes.
Well, I think, what's interesting with James is, the first 5 games of the year, even on the nights where, maybe he's been, in the negative plus minus, he's still productive. He's scoring. He's got such good touch around the basket. He's such a lob threat. You saw Steph get him for the one late third, I think it was. Maybe it was early fourth. But I think James is showing his potential, but he needs reps. And the reason right now for some of the plus minus stuff is just that he's got to go through those reps again and again and again. And we have to allow him to make some mistakes and allow him to play through those things. And I couldn't be happier with his development, with his attitude, his approach every day, just what he's done to overcome the injury. This guy is he's just a wonderful young guy who wants to be great, and we're trying to help him get there as quickly as possible. But it can only come with a lot of experience.
You haven't really been going to Jonathan Kuminga a lot in the rotation. I know you're still figuring out combinations and stuff, but he was also a DNP tonight. Why didn't you play him?
Well, it's hard to play more than 10 guys. It just is. I think we've done it a couple of times. We played 11 maybe in 2 of the 5 games, but Jonathan's time will come. He's a very, very young player. He's very talented. He's just got to keep working, and things will go well for him as long as he just stays on the path. This is how it goes for young guys on championship teams. It's there's just no free minutes, and but the development comes every day. That's the thing. It's it's not like development only comes with minutes played. It comes with, coming to practice and getting the work in every single day. So he's working hard, he's staying ready, and his time will come.
I said, how is he kind of handling the fact that right now he's...
Well, JK is a very quiet guy, and we've spent a lot of time together here in the early part of the season and in camp, and he's not happy, and I don't want him to be happy. I want all of my guys to want to be out there. But it's a necessary part of the growth to learn how to win, learn how to be part of a combination. We have to put the best combinations on the floor right now that are going to help us win games. So, Moses, his spacing makes a little bit more sense. Ty's playmaking makes a little more sense. So it's all part of being in the NBA. And as long as he fights through it like he's been doing, he's going to be fine.
Hey, Steve, kind of a two-part question. Before going on a 5-game road trip, how big is getting a win out of the way like this at home? And then also for the new guys, the young guys, the rookies, how important can a 5-game road trip altogether be as well?
Yeah, my first coach in the league, Cotton Fitzsimmons, used to call it the getaway game, before the road trip. The getaway game is a big one because you just want to carry some momentum onto the road because it's going to be tougher. And so this was a big game. We needed it. And I look forward to these 5 games and the bonding that will happen, and the young guys getting some opportunities. All good stuff.
Up on that, because in this series, it's like 5 games in 7 days or something, 2 back-to-backs. Do you plan on any kind of load management? You mentioned younger guys getting opportunities. There's some chances on those back-to-backs that some of
there's an excellent chance given the age of some of our guys and the wear and tear of playing hundreds of playoff games over the last decade. We're going to be looking at that for sure, and we're just going to we always have to have the big picture in mind and pace our guys through the regular season, make sure they're healthy and in good shape going into the playoffs. So it's all part of it.
Another Wiseman question. When you juggle the rotation with Looney starting as the second floor, that means Wiseman's playing almost all his minutes with Steph. Was that part of the thinking? Do you want to see him out there with Steph a lot?
Yeah. I think, everybody plays better with Steph. The defense just has to pay so much attention to him. And I think we wanted to give that second unit a little more stability with Loon and his experience and his defense. So kind of putting Wise in mid-quarter, first and third, accomplishes that, and bringing Loon back at the top of the second and the fourth. So we've done that the last 2 games now. Breaks up our combinations a little bit. We get a little better mix of youth and veterans, and we'll probably keep doing that for the time being and see how it goes.
And Steve Kerr, it really has, as you hear from him there, helped stabilize the bench group a little bit. Looney does have a calming presence, and I think it's improved the defense as well, which has really been problematic for that young group playing together. When Kuminga was out there with Moody, and with Wiseman at times. There were times where it was JaMychal Green and Kuminga and Wiseman and Poole out there with DiVincenzo as well. And, DiVincenzo can be kind of an up and down defender. So having Looney, even as a big, just know the system and be able to be in the right spots, I think does help along the lines of the growth of some of the younger players. Interesting comments about Jonathan Kuminga, who did not play. We mentioned it a little bit earlier at all. Right now, of course, JaMychal Green, James Wiseman, Kevon Looney, all going to be getting minutes. Draymond Green. I thought it was interesting. You heard what Steve Kerr had to say, that Kuminga's time is coming. He also said, and I thought this was particularly telling, he's not happy, and I don't want him to be happy. I want all my guys to want to be out there. I think a little bit of a message, again, being sent to Jonathan Kuminga that you got to keep working, and it's got to be consistent, and it's got to be looking to do the little things and make the hustle plays and rebound and defend and run the floor hard and have an attention to detail to knowing where you're supposed to be on the floor. This is not as simple as Ty Jerome or Jonathan Kuminga. It's again, we talked about the fact that it's just different positions, but I think he is trying to light a little bit of a fire under Kuminga. It does remind me of some of the reports and the things, even that a guy like Stephen A. Smith had said about, what he'd heard about Kuminga, consistently not bringing the work ethic on a night in, night out basis. Now, is some of that overblown? Possibly, but when you look at the fact that, Steve Kerr went out of his way to praise Kuminga in training camp and in the preseason, and I think carved out time for him at the three with JaMychal Green and with James Wiseman for the first couple of games. He was in the rotation. Now, I tried to warn people he wasn't going to be playing as much as you thought, but he earned some time in that rotation at the beginning of the year, but he played so poorly that a game and a half in, Kerr was giving his minutes in the second half to Moody against Denver, and then he found himself in a position where he wasn't going to be playing the next night and wasn't playing until they were down big in Phoenix. But part of that is, and I think why he was in that position where he wasn't playing in Phoenix until Clay even got kicked out of the game, was because when he did put him in against Sacramento and the Warriors had a 20-point lead, the effort was extremely poor. So I think the message is being sent that the effort level, the intensity level, the behind-the-scenes work, it's not that he's not working, it's that the work has to be consistent, has to be every day, and has to manifest itself once you don't just work to get in the game and to get the minutes, then you have to work in the game to maintain the minutes. So a lot of people, why no Kuminga? To me, it's pretty clear to this point why there's been no Kuminga. Minutes are earned, they're not given. And you can make the case that he needs some time to be out there to develop, but at the same time, the Warriors do have enough other players on this team right now to where those minutes don't have to be given. And the reality is Moody's ahead of him right now. And the reality is Wiseman's ahead of him right now. Again, different positions, but the truth and the fact remains of that situation. Julio in Redwood City on the phone lines at 888-957-9570. Hey, Julio.
Hi, JD. Thanks for taking my call. So, yeah, I agree with you about everything you're saying about Jonathan Kuminga, that maybe, he's not putting, he was really poor in the minutes that he got. I agree with that. But I slightly feel like it's kind of unfair to him because, first of all, he's playing at 3. He's, never played at 3 before, right? And then he has a really, really short leash, 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, and if he makes one mistake, then he's out. So I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe there's something that Kerr doesn't like his work ethic or something. But what he said about James Wiseman, he grows up through mistakes and stuff. I want him to give the same kind of leniency to Jonathan Kuminga, give him a little bit of a long rope, because James Wiseman making a lot of mistakes on the defensive side, and Kerr flat out said, he will learn from experience, but why can't Kuminga learn from experience? Unless there's something that behind the scenes that we don't know. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, Julio, I think you're onto something there. It's also the fact that the Warriors do have more playable players at the positions, at Kuminga's positions, at the 3, at the 4 for sure. JaMychal Green ahead of him at the 4. I think Moody's now ahead of him at the 3. Iguodala's going to be ahead of him at the 3 when Iguodala comes back. Hell, I'm wondering, and we'll see, I'm wondering, at least I'm starting to wonder, if Patrick Baldwin at some point is even going to be a more playable player than Jonathan Kuminga. We're not there now, but the difference between Kuminga and Wiseman is, one, Wiseman does have another year of experience in terms of being around and the hard work and the system, and I think Wiseman to this point is a harder worker than Kuminga. That's not to put Kuminga's work ethic down, but I do think he's a harder worker than Kuminga is. But the other part of it is Wiseman's the backup center, and the Warriors don't have another backup center, and so he is going to get those minutes just based on the fact that he's number 2 on the depth chart, and in Kuminga's case, he doesn't have to be number 2 on the depth chart whether it's at the 4 or at the 3. I still think he's more of a 4 than a 3. I think they were doing him a disservice playing him at the 3, but clearly there's somebody within the organization that thinks he can play the 3. And, I almost think Kuminga thinks he can play the 3, whereas reality is he's probably more of a 4. Let's hear a couple of minutes of Draymond Green just to tie a bow on this one as he met with the media downstairs in the Bill King interview room as the Warriors tonight 123-110.
Steve felt that was the team's best defensive outing so far and doing things well on both ends from full game. How do you assess?
I think we were pretty good defensively. In that first half, I think our energy just wasn't there. And so although you're getting stops and scoring, we're not in a rut, but we just don't feel like we're playing to the level that we're capable of. And mentally, that can be a drag. And so I feel like guys in that first half were just feeling sorry for themselves, all of us. And they score a basket, it's worse than it seems, And I think in the second half, we cleaned that up with our body language, our demeanor. And although everything didn't go right, we stayed the course. And that second unit brought great energy. Jamaica was incredible. And we were able to continue to keep it rolling. So I thought it was a pretty good defensive game for us. And saying that we can continue to get better.
Dre, I know you're more worried about how you guys are playing collectively, but Steve Kerr has made it a point the past couple of games to say how well he thinks you are playing individually in the early going. You've always been very honest with your performance and evaluating yourself. How do you think you've been playing early on, and where do you think you're at?
I think I'm playing pretty well. Just trying to be more aggressive. Had some turnovers tonight I could take back. And now I think it's adding that fire onto the play. It's coming around, but overall, I think I'm playing pretty good basketball, but, still rounding in the form. And like I said earlier, just expecting to have a big year.
I've seen teams try a lot of interesting stuff to slow you guys down. I don't think I recall them putting their point guard on you before like they did today with Kyle Lowry. What did you make of that, and how did y'all try to attack it?
I've seen it before. We just play. It's not trying to necessarily single it out or make something of it. We're going to play our game. I think when teams do stuff like that, they're doing it so you go away from what's naturally comfortable. Not necessarily that's going to stop what we do, but more so just want you to go away from it. So I think for me and for us, it's just continuing to do what we do regardless of what the matchups are. And there are ways to take advantage of things like that. And I think, late down the stretch, I took advantage of one of those ways that you can take advantage of a team doing that.
4-point game when you and Clay and Steph re-entered in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes later, it's a double-digit lead. You've played with Steph all these years, but can you go back and did you get a chance to look at what he did to Tyler Hero on that 3-point shot that gave you guys? What were your thoughts on that particular play?
He almost fell. No, it was a great move, though. It was a great move. Got to the spot that he wanted. Once he got Tyler to open his back leg up, he was kind of dead at that point. But, Steph is incredible. And, he's playing great to start this year off, which is expected. But, as I've said before, he continues to improve, which is scary that guy continues to get better. So it's pretty interesting and, fun to watch.
How do you think he does?
Yeah, pretty scary and pretty fun to watch, no doubt about it. When you look at Steph and what he's been able to do at 34, going to be 35 in March, and no signs of slowing down. And the move that he put on Tyler Hero was something spectacular. And I reading here as we're listening to Draymond that was something that Steph worked on over the summer. He said in the post-game press conference, a lot of reps in the summer for that to manifest itself in game number 5 here on October the 27th. All right, that's going to do it for me. Warriors get the win tonight. We'll call it a night on that note. Back on Saturday with Warriors this week. Join me and Whitey Gleason 10-1 right here on 95.7 The Game as we got you covered for that show, our second show of the young season, and then the Warriors and the Hornets, 3 o'clock for Warriors Live. So 10-1 with me and Whitey, and then I'll be back at 3 o'clock for Warriors Live, the pregame edition. The Warriors and the Hornets from Charlotte coming up with tip-off scheduled for 4 o'clock, and I'll have Warriors wrap-up for you after that one. So that'll do it. Make sure you keep it locked to 95.7 The Game all day long, and we'll talk to you on Saturday. Warriors beat the Heat tonight, 123-110, and you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game. Good night.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-700-4333. That's 1-800-700-4333. 1-800-700-4333.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So instead, we're going to hire a professional voice actor and pay him absurd amounts of money to say,
I like this product.
Not sure why that was better. I mean, I'm a professional too, but we didn't pay him to say the business part, so back to me. Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. Sorry, I know hearing me say it was a bit of a letdown. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Iraq.com. The way tire buying should be. Hope all is going all right in your world. Can't be that bad. You're listening to a radio show or a podcast, however you consume the show. Our lead this hour coming from the National Football League. Don't bury the lead, my man. We had a Thursday night slobber knocker in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, who has not been playing particularly well of late, and the Ravens, their buses rolled into Raymond James Stadium, the pirate ship, for a date with Tom Brady's Buccaneers, who are right now drowning in the Gulf of Mexico. A couple of scuffling quarterbacks, couple of teams that are kind of not doing all that great. So the Ravens, compared to the Bucs, doing much better, but locking heads. And I don't know if you saw the game or not. Al Michaels was there. Kirk Herbstreit was there. You might have missed it. Lamar Jackson Did not get off to a great start, but he finished. Not how you start, it's how you finish. He accounted for 281 yards of offense and threw for 2 second-half touchdowns. He was El Magnifico in the second half. It was wonderful. And Baltimore storming back to trample Tampa Bay 27-22. The Ravens